So I am the perfect human case for explaining what's happened. No, in my case it was very strange because I studied physics in the university and I started working in teaching math in secondary school as a researcher. And then I had the opportunity to start working with UN in Cuba. It was a short-term contract, an SIA, a short-term consultancy. And then I thought it was better for me to work with NGOs because I felt that that time it was very important to work with people. At the end of the day, your food need to be dirty, and you have to work in the field. So this is was I
work with people at the UN.
Then I discovered that you can do the same in UN. And but it was very interesting because as the case of Andres, even when I was studying physics at the university, I would think about human rights and the problems of the third world, we call it. And if you want to do anything in your life, you always could do it with the perseverance and with time and with enthusiasm. So this is my message to you. And in my actual unemployed situation, I prefer call it between jobs situation. I think it's the best I can comment to you. Thank you.
Thank you to both.
Just to follow up, not on the NGO comment, but on the skills going from private sector to the UN. We need those skills. If you can do a budget, you could pretty much have a job at any of the organizations. I mean, everybody cares about money, and not from the same angle of profit, but saving money, finance, things of that nature. But once again, you have to show how your skills are relevant for the job. They're procurement jobs. There's a lot of money going into peace operations that they have to keep track of. So there's definitely room for private sector people.
Okay, let's go to this side, and then are we moving the people from the other room? They're coming? All right, this is being projected in 2 other rooms. So it seems that we have some spaces, so we're going to try to bring some of them here. All right, so if you see...
here.
The ones who want to ask questions. Okay, the ones who want to ask questions. So I'm going to give you the first option, but you need to have a microphone so that it is taped.
Hi, my name is Nicole. I just wanted to know how you can manage to get your name inside the roster, the booster. I've received emails from applications saying that the candidate was chosen from the roster.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right. Is there anyone from the other rooms here? No? All right, so 2 more questions from this side.
Hello, my name is Vanessa. So I'm looking for some internships in the UN system, and I saw that all of them ask for a travel insurance, like a medical insurance, and they say clearly, like the application needs to be complete. If not, we will not even see at that. So I've been looking for this travel insurance, and I call here the INS, which is like the, well, now there's others also. Anyway, then, but they told me like for 4 months, it's $600. And for 4 months it's $600, and for 6 is 1,000. And I was thinking, the insurance gentleman told me that this is the one I have to get, because if not, because they have like specifications. Of course, he wants to sell me this one. I was wondering if you have like a smallest, like I don't know.
Okay, and then let's go to the back.
Thank you. My name is Jessica. I just wanted to first make a remark, like the system of UN of employment is very slow and it takes so much time. And sometimes you can find people who have been waiting for more than 3 months and take other jobs. So I would like to know how you deal with that. And if you make people like, if you can also be flexible in waiting while the person finish a contract to take him because he has been waiting for you and everything. Second question about the gender sensibilities on the phone. We are all aware of gender sensibilities, but we can still be taken into some traps. So can you just give some small examples of what to avoid to say and not to be caught in a kind of gender bias? Thank you.
And one last one from the other room.
Hi, my name is Josefa, and I would like to know what's the weight of education against experience, and how old can be the examples. For instance, in my case, I've changed major, I've changed 2 or 3 times of country, so I would like to know how old are the examples that can be chosen.
Okay, you start. You pick the ones you want. I'll take the others.
Okay, well, I'm not doing insurance because I don't understand that. I will pick the lady who said it takes a long time to, why does it take so much time to hire? 3 months is good. Remember I told you we have to advertise our jobs for 2 months. So just 2 months advertising before we can do anything. The average rate of hiring, I would say, is between 5 and 9 months. So really, do not quit your day job while you're applying. It takes a long time because we get a lot of applications, because, as I said, we try to do the written assessments, then we have to organize panels and interview people worldwide. We are improving. I mean, it used to take a year or sometimes 2 years. Depending on if someone can wait for you will depend on where the job is that you're applying for. If you are applying for a job in a humanitarian emergency and they're calling you now to go for the humanitarian emergency, they will not wait 2 months. If it is a normal job that you applied for, interviewed, did the written assessment, and it's just a question, they'll try to work with you. Related to gender bias, well, I think we all know there are no traps. We're not trying to set you up to make some kind of non-neutral statement or ask you a question which will elicit gender bias. It usually comes from people making statements that could be insensitive, like, you know, well, all the men on my team were so lazy, as you know, or something like this, or, you know, the women were so neurotic. I mean, we can go on and on and on, and this is inappropriate at an interview. So, and it's not whether you're on the phone or anything else. You have to be aware of what you're saying. Just with the roster question, to get on a roster means you've gone through the process. That means you've either taken a written assessment or you've already been interviewed and been determined to be suitable for the job, but maybe you're not the selected candidate. So it's not like anybody can just get on a roster. They go through a process. There is a distinction, though. For a lot of the peacekeeping humanitarian posts, they advertise generically for a lot of different duty stations. So they might advertise for lawyers or for economists or for budget officers. And then if they interview you, they're not necessarily interviewing you for one position. They're interviewing you to see your technical skills and would you be a good budget officer. And then they would put you on a roster, and when a post comes up, they might call you. The other situation is where you apply for the job of the economist in Addis Ababa, and that is a real P3 position requiring 5 years experience. You were really close. The panel liked you, but they selected someone else. They recommended you. So 2 weeks later, another P3 economist opens up in Addis Ababa. Instead of advertising it for another 2 months and waiting 6 months, they can decide to take you from the roster, but it has to be a very similar post, and it is the choice of the hiring manager. If that post opened up in New York, they probably wouldn't take you off the roster from Addis Ababa, although they could technically.
Okay, let me go back to the gender and the religious and the issue of nationality and the others. 2 weeks ago, in the same example that I gave before, this was the highest director position that we have in the UN, and it was for the Middle East. The person selected would have been for the Middle East. This person did a very good interview, but at the end there was a comment regarding a certain country indicating that the people from that country are very stubborn. As you can imagine, a director that may have to go to the Security Council, we will not allow that comment. So he did an excellent interview, but by that comment, we could not recommend him. Because if he can do that in an interview, it could happen in a different context. Is it clear? Yes. So be as natural as possible, but be careful. And obviously, at the younger positions, we will be more flexible. There are certain comments that we will pass. At the director position, that's not negotiable.
But try not to make those comments, though.
Is it clear? So you can bring your examples of working in an NGO and religion, and that is okay. But just be very respectful how you present your case. Because we have had situations that some people indicate this religion is better than the other one. Don't do that in an interview. Is that okay? We are telling you this because it happens. And sometimes that's the only work opportunity you have had, and that is okay. But what we want to know is not your religious conviction. What we want to know is how you behave in the workplace. All right, so that is what we need. And the same thing on the gender is how you behave on your workplace, how you respect each other. That is what we are looking for. On the insurances, is this an insurance here in Costa Rica?
Yeah, I was just, if you have any specification for a specific one.
No, we don't have, and we don't mind if it's local or international, but you have to bear in mind that we cannot assume the responsibility of you going to another country. So the last thing we want, because many years it happened, some of you fall sick. And therefore, what do we do? And sometimes the parents don't send the money. We had a situation.
Oh, remember that?
Okay, Lynne will tell you the situation of an intern. She learned from it because we all told her no. Okay.
Okay, so I was running the whole UN internship program in New York City. So every intern, when there was a problem, or any director or office, when there was a problem, they came to me. So I was having a really bad day one day. And this guy, it's Friday afternoon, it's 3 o'clock, his name is Godfrey, he's from Africa, and he tells me that his sponsor, who was supposed to be sponsoring his internship, because you can have universities or individuals sponsoring you, has stopped sponsoring him, and he has no money and no place to go. So the first thing I did was I called, I said, well, you're going to have to go home. Let me see your plane ticket. So he had a plane ticket, but it was one of those non-changeable ones from, this is in August or something, and he gets to go home in November. I'm like, well, I don't know what you're going to do, Godfrey. So I called the permanent mission of his government, and I'm like, I have someone here, blah, blah, blah. They're calling around. Bottom line is, they're not really helping him. So what I did was, since it was Friday, I had my other interns do a Google thing, because they have a Google group, to see where he could spend the night for the weekend. And then I went around and did a collection, and everyone's like, Lynne. So we all gave them $50 to survive over the weekend out of the goodness of our hearts. And the bottom line is that, but I stripped him of his badge, and then I found out he had been borrowing money from other interns, like, so he owed like, $800 to other interns. And what ended up happening is Godfrey ended up going to New Jersey. I guess he knew some people there, and a month later wanted to come back and do an internship again. And I said, yeah, once you pay back everybody, including me, the money you borrowed. So the problem is we don't have the facility to take care of someone. Like, even if you broke your leg while you're there, you need to be able to have your own insurance, have enough money to support yourself, and that's why we stress so much up front that they're unpaid. And if you can't afford to do an internship in New York or Santiago, that is fine. You don't need to do an internship with the UN to show that you're interested in international affairs. I am sure that in Costa Rica, there are agencies, organizations, NGOs who who work internationally on issues that have international impact, that would love to have UPeace graduates or anybody volunteer their time. It's not where you do it, because it doesn't give you an in. It's the demonstration of passion and willingness to put yourself out there and work for free. No, I'm kidding.